Hello, Beths. Today's notes cover measuring segments. So congruent segments are segments that have the same measure or length. And they have this little symbol. It's two, like an equal sign with a squiggly on top. We use distance to show two segments are congruent. So without distance, we don't know. Let's take a look at example 1. Are AB and BC congruent? So from A to B, 1, 2, that is 3 units. B to C is 2 units. So in this case, no. In number 2, A to B is 4 units, and B to C is also 4 units. So this one is yes. Now we do have a formula for distance, and it is taking the first point and subtracting the second, and then taking the absolute value of that. So in example 3, find the distance between -2 and 6. So -2 minus 6, well, that is -8, but the absolute value of that makes it positive because distance is always a positive number. Number 4, find the distance between the given 2 points on the line. So from P to M. Now, distances aren't always whole numbers. The coordinate for point P is -4.5. It is between -4 and -5. So we've got -4.5, and then the coordinate for M is -3. When we have a double negative, we make that positive. So this is -4.5 plus 3, and that is -1.5, and the absolute value of that is 1.5. In letter B, from L to N, we have the coordinate for L is -1, and the coordinate for N, well, that's 5.5. Okay, so this time we're going to subtract -1 minus 5.5. Well, that's -6.5, and the absolute value of that is 6.5. In letter C, R to M, R is just 0.5. M is -3. Double negative makes that positive. So, 0.5 plus 3 is 3.5. For example D, from P to S, again, P is -4.5, S is 3, that is -7.5, and the absolute value of that is 7.5. From N to P, N is at 5.5, P is at -4.5, so minus -4.5, double negative makes that a plus. So what is that? How about 10? Absolute value of 10 is 10. And last one, F from R to N. So R is at 0.5, and we're subtracting the coordinate for N, so that is 5.5. So 0.5 minus 5.5, well, that is -5. And the absolute value of -5 is 5. You may need to brush up on your integer skills if you weren't able to reason through some of those problems with me. Or please ask for help. I'm always there to help. In number 5, suppose segment AB has a length of 7. All right, so I'm a visual learner. These words make so much more sense if I can draw a picture. From A to B, I have a length of 7, and B has a coordinate at 5, so this coordinate is 5. Find the coordinate for point A. All right, so I'm going to draw this again because now I know what the question's figuring out. So we know that B has a coordinate of 5. Let's put B on the list, or on the map, right here. And we know segment AB has a length of 7. Find the coordinates for A. So A, did it tell us what side it's on? No. So we have two options for A. We can put A over here, or we can put A on the left. We don't know which one they're asking, so we need to give them both answers. So if I'm 7 units from B, if this from B to A is 7 units, well, 7 to the right of 5 would make point A at 12. Now if 7 happens to, or if A happens to be on the left of B, well then I would be subtracting 7. And 5 minus 7 would be at -2. The midpoint is a point that divides a segment into two equal segments, or congruent segments. So in this diagram here, from A to C, this is the symbol for identifying that these two segments are congruent. A little hash mark is identifying segment AB congruent to BC, and so point B is the midpoint of segment AC. Remember, a midpoint is exactly halfway between. There is a formula, and we take the first point, we add it to the second point, and then we cut it in half, divided by 2. Here are some examples. If C is the midpoint of segment AB, so let's draw the picture. Here's A and B, and right here in the middle is C. Segment AC is 12 centimeters long. So from A to C is 12. Well, if C is in the middle, then we know that from C to B must also be 12. What is the length of the entire segment, A to B? Well, that's just 12 plus 12, and we get 24. So we can say segment AB is 24. And let's go ahead and add on the units because units were given. Number 7, T is the midpoint of segment RS. So let's start by drawing the picture. Here's R, here's S, and we've got T is exactly in the middle. RS has a measure of 32, so we know the whole thing is 32. What is the length of segment RT? Well, if the whole thing is 32 and T is the middle, we have to take 32 and divide it in 2. Each of those segments is 16. So RT is equal to 16. Number 8, if P is the midpoint of XY, and this time we're given an expression for XP, and that is 8x minus 2. PY is 12x minus 30. All right, so what we know is that these segments are equal. Let's set them equal, and then we can find the value of x. So we've got a little bit of algebra this time. So it doesn't matter which way you solve this one. I usually like to move my x's to the left and my numbers to the right, so I'll add 2 to both sides. Remember, you keep an equation equal. 8x equals 12x minus 28. Let's move the x terms together, so subtract 12x on both sides. 8 minus 12 is negative 4x is equal to negative 28, and if we divide both sides by negative 4, we get that x is equal to positive 7. In number 9, G is the midpoint of FH. G is the midpoint of FH. F G, okay, we're given another expression for the distance, is 14x plus 25. GH is 73 minus 2x. We know that these are equal because G is the midpoint. The midpoint means we divide it into two equal segments. So 14x plus 25 is equal to 73 minus 2x. This time though, we're not just finding x, we're finding the length of FH. So once we find what x is, then we'll need to plug it back in. So I'm going to solve this one very similarly. Let's move our numbers to the right and our x terms to the left. And this time I'm going to go ahead and do both steps in one. All right, so that gives me 16x is equal to 73 minus 25. 7, 6, let's see, what is that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 48. Divide both sides by 16, and x is equal to 3. 16 times 3, I'll just double check my math, 8, 18, and then 3 add 1 is 48. That's right. Okay, so I now know what x is, but it's asking me for FH. If I plug in x into this first expression for FG, that'll give me what the length of FG is, and then all I need to do is double that. So 14, I've got to do a little bit of scratch work over here on the right. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1, 3, 42. So 42 plus 25. And 7, how about 67? So we know that each of these guys is 67. Let's go ahead and double that. 14, carry the 1, 12, 13. How about 134? We know that the entire segment FH is 134. And last problem. It says your best friend just moved to Houston. You want to meet him halfway for lunch. You live in San Antonio. Where should you meet? So from Houston, we want to figure out what is the midpoint between the two cities. So San Antonio, let's put that at one endpoint, in Houston, and we know the entire segment is 203. Well, let's cut 203 in half. All right, a little bit of division here. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 0, 0. 2 goes into 3 once. And what is that? 1, 0, I didn't do that right. 101.5. Okay, so 203 divided by 2 is 101.5. So which city is closest to 101? Well, Schulenburg's at 97, Flatonia is at 110. So, and there's no town in between. So I guess we want to pick the one that's closest. So for Flatonia, 110 miles minus 101.5, and do a little bit of math here. I believe that's 8.5 miles away. If we meet in Schulenburg, that's 97. So let's see, 101.5 minus 97, and 3, 4.5. So it's probably best to meet in Schulenburg.